Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're diving deep into the surprisingly complex origins of SCP-999, the Tickle Monster. Imagine, if you will, sinking into your favorite armchair, a warm drink in hand, maybe a pet curled up at your feet. Outside, the wind might be howling, or perhaps it's the gentle patter of rain against your window. Here in Tam Diep, Ninh Binh, Vietnam, it's currently just after 1 a.m., and the night is quiet. Hopefully, wherever you are, you're equally cozy. Now, dealing with anomalous entities with unknown origins? Yeah, you probably wouldn't last 5 minutes in that situation. So, before you get too comfortable, take a quick moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy the kind of deep dives we do here. And while you're at it, drop a comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see the global community we have here. All right, lights down low, fan on for that soothing white noise, and let's embark on tonight's journey together. You find yourself sifting through heavily redacted documents, the faint scent of old paper, and something vaguely chemical lingering in the air. The fluorescent lights of the Foundation archive hum overhead, a monotonous drone that somehow adds to the unsettling atmosphere. You're tasked with piecing together the fragmented history of SCP-999, an anomaly seemingly so benign that its very existence within the Foundation's containment procedures feels like a comforting anomaly in itself. The initial reports are surprisingly sparse, almost as if the Foundation itself was hesitant to fully document SCP-999's beginnings. What little information you can glean suggests that the entity was first discovered in the late 20th century, somewhere in the Middle East. The exact location is still classified, marked with the familiar black boxes that pepper so many Foundation files. One early note mentions a gelatinous mass exhibiting unusual behavior and a distinct orange coloration. It sounds almost comical, a far cry from the terrifying entities that usually occupy these files. You continue reading, your finger tracing the faded ink. Eyewitness accounts from the initial containment team describe a creature that reacted to distress with an almost desperate need to comfort. Individuals experiencing fear or anxiety in its vicinity reported an overwhelming urge to laugh and a significant decrease in negative emotions after interacting with SCP-999. This led to its designation as the Tickle Monster, a seemingly light-hearted moniker for something held within the Foundation's grasp. One particularly strange detail emerges from these early reports. SCP-999 appears to possess a rudimentary form of telepathy, capable of understanding and responding to human emotions. It expresses itself through a series of cooing, gurgling noises and physical interactions, primarily through gentle, ticklish movements. The Foundation quickly recognized its potential therapeutic applications, leading to numerous experiments involving individuals with various psychological disorders. The results, according to the redacted reports, were overwhelmingly positive. However, amidst the seemingly straightforward documentation, inconsistencies begin to surface. One heavily censored section hints at a possible connection between SCP-999 and a far more dangerous anomaly, though the specifics are entirely blacked out. This raises a crucial question. Could SCP-999's seemingly innocent nature be a facade, or perhaps a single piece of a much larger, more complex puzzle? You lean back in your chair, the hum of the lights a constant companion. It's a stark contrast to the image of a harmless orange blob. The very fact that the Foundation, an organization dedicated to containing threats to normalcy, would dedicate resources to something seemingly so benign is in itself noteworthy. It speaks volumes about either the entity's true potential or the sheer unpredictability of the anomalous world. As you delve deeper, you uncover a series of research logs detailing early experimentation with SCP-999. These logs offer a more clinical perspective, yet even in their scientific detachment, the unusual nature of the entity shines through. One experiment, for instance, describes exposing a subject suffering from severe depression to SCP-999 for a period of 1 hour. The post-experiment analysis notes a complete remission of symptoms, with the subject reporting a feeling of pure, unadulterated joy that they hadn't experienced in years. This raises an intriguing point. Could SCP-999's effects be purely psychological, or is there a more tangible, perhaps even biological mechanism at play? Another log details attempts to analyze SCP-999's biological structure. The results are inconclusive, with the entity consistently defying conventional biological classification. Samples taken appear to be composed of a non-Newtonian fluid with unusual energy signatures. Attempts to dissect or harm SCP-999 resulted in the entity exhibiting signs of distress, accompanied by a high-pitched whimpering sound that reportedly caused feelings of intense guilt in the researchers present. This inherent defensiveness, even in the face of scientific scrutiny, adds another layer of complexity to its seemingly simple nature. You also stumble upon a series of internal memos discussing the ethical implications of utilizing SCP-999. While its therapeutic potential is undeniable, some within the Foundation express concern about its unknown origins and the possibility of unforeseen consequences. One memo, marked Confidential, Level 3, questions whether the positive effects are merely symptomatic relief, or if SCP-999 is somehow altering the subjects on a deeper, perhaps even cellular, level. This debate highlights a recurring tension within the Foundation, the constant balancing act between understanding and containing the anomalous and the potential risks involved in both. A particularly bizarre detail emerges from a cross-referencing of SCP-999's early containment protocols with those of other, seemingly unrelated SCPs. There are faint, almost imperceptible overlaps in the initial discovery dates and geographical locations of SCP-999 and an entity designated SCP-Redacted, which is known for its reality-bending capabilities. This raises a chilling possibility. Could SCP-999's seemingly benign nature be a byproduct of interaction with a far more powerful and unpredictable anomaly? The academic debate surrounding SCP-999 largely centers on its classification. Is it a purely biological entity, an extra-dimensional being, or something else entirely? Some researchers have proposed the theory that SCP-999 is a manifestation of pure positive emotion, given its apparent ability to amplify joy and alleviate suffering. Others, more cautiously, suggest that its true nature and origins remain entirely unknown, and its current behavior might not reflect its full potential. You take a moment to stretch, the silence of the archive broken only by your own movements. The sheer volume of unanswered questions surrounding this seemingly simple anomaly is unsettling. It's a stark reminder that within the Foundation's walls, even the most comforting anomalies can hold hidden depths and potential dangers. The deeper you dig, the more fragmented and contradictory the information becomes. You find references to ancient texts, hinting at similar entities appearing throughout history, often associated with periods of peace and prosperity. One cryptic passage from a Sumerian tablet describes a joyful being of light that brought laughter and healing to the afflicted. Could SCP-999 be a recurring phenomenon, a cyclical manifestation of some unknown force? You also uncover a series of heavily damaged audio logs, apparently recordings of interviews with individuals who encountered SCP-999 prior to its containment. These recordings are often distorted and incomplete, but you manage to piece together some recurring themes. Many describe an overwhelming feeling of warmth and comfort in the entity's presence, a sensation akin to being embraced by pure happiness. One particularly chilling fragment recounts an individual who was on the verge of suicide, claiming that SCP-999's touch instilled in them an intense desire to live, a feeling so profound it completely eradicated their suicidal ideations. This raises profound ethical questions about the Foundation's right to contain an entity with such apparent therapeutic potential. A peculiar detail emerges from an analysis of SCP-999's vocalizations. While seemingly random coos and gurgles, sophisticated spectral analysis reveals complex underlying patterns, almost like a language yet to be deciphered. Some researchers have even speculated that these vocalizations might have subtle mimetic effects, contributing to the feelings of well-being experienced by those in its vicinity. This theory, however, remains largely unproven and highly controversial within the Foundation. You stumble upon a classified report detailing a containment breach involving SCP-999. The report is brief and heavily redacted, but it mentions the entity willingly returning to its containment cell after a short period of interaction with Foundation personnel. Interestingly, the report notes a significant decrease in stress levels among the staff involved in the recapture, suggesting that even during a breach, SCP-999's primary instinct remains to comfort and alleviate distress. This almost childlike innocence in the face of potential danger is both endearing and deeply unsettling. The prevailing academic argument surrounding SCP-999's purpose remains a mystery. Some believe it to be a naturally occurring anomaly, a unique biological entity with an unusual emotional response mechanism. Others propose more esoteric theories, suggesting it could be an extra-dimensional being, a psychic projection, or even a fragment of a long-forgotten deity. The lack of concrete evidence for any of these theories only deepens the enigma surrounding SCP-999. You rub your eyes, the late hours starting to take its toll. The story of SCP-999 is far more intricate and perplexing than its initial designation as the Tickle Monster would suggest. It's a narrative filled with unanswered questions, ethical dilemmas, and a profound sense of the unknown lurking beneath a seemingly harmless exterior. You continue your investigation, moving beyond the initial containment reports and delving into the more specialized research conducted on SCP-999 over the years. A significant portion of this research focuses on its interaction with other SCP entities, with some truly bizarre and unexpected results. One series of experiments documents SCP-999's interaction with SCP-682, the seemingly indestructible and relentlessly hostile reptile. Initial attempts were met with extreme caution, with heavily armed personnel standing by. To everyone's surprise, upon encountering SCP-999, SCP-682 exhibited a significant change in behavior. Instead of its usual violent outbursts, the reptile appeared to become playful. It nuzzled SCP-999, made soft purring sounds, a behavior never before observed, and even allowed SCP-999 to cover it in its orange slimy substance without any resistance. This interaction lasted for several hours until SCP-682 was eventually returned to its containment chamber, its usual hostility seemingly diminished for a short period. This event sent shockwaves through the Foundation, raising the almost unbelievable possibility that SCP-999 could have a pacifying effect on even the most dangerous anomalies. Further experimentation along these lines yielded similarly surprising, though less dramatic, results with other hostile SCPs. Entities known for their aggression and unpredictable behavior often exhibited a temporary decrease in hostility and an increase in docile behavior when in contact with SCP-999. This led to the development of controversial proposals within the Foundation, suggesting the potential use of SCP-999 as a containment measure for certain high-threat anomalies. However, the ethical implications and the potential risks of such a strategy were fiercely debated and ultimately never fully implemented. You uncover a series of reports detailing attempts to replicate SCP-999's effects artificially. Researchers explored various chemical compounds, neurological stimuli, and even mimetic agents in an attempt to understand and potentially reproduce the feelings of joy and well-being induced by the entity. These efforts, however, proved largely unsuccessful. While some methods showed marginal positive effects on test subjects, none could replicate the profound and consistent impact of direct interaction with SCP-999. This suggests that the entity's effects are not simply the result of a chemical reaction or a neurological trick. hinting at a more complex, perhaps even anomalous mechanism. A particularly strange and unsettling detail emerges from a cross-analysis of SCP-999's tickling behavior. While seemingly random and playful, closer observation and video analysis reveal subtle patterns in its movements, almost as if it is intentionally targeting specific pressure points or energy centers on the human body. Some fringe theories within the Foundation suggest that these ticklish interactions might be a form of communication, or even a way for SCP-999 to manipulate the emotional state of individuals. This interpretation, however, is largely dismissed by the majority of researchers who view the behavior as simply a manifestation of its playful nature. The academic discussion surrounding SCP-999's long-term effects on individuals remains ongoing. While short-term exposure consistently results in positive emotional states, the long-term consequences are less clear. Some studies suggest a lasting improvement in mood and a decreased susceptibility to anxiety and depression in individuals who have had prolonged interaction with SCP-999. However, other, more concerning reports hint at potential psychological dependence in some cases, with individuals experiencing withdrawal symptoms of sadness and irritability after being separated from the entity for extended periods. This raises complex ethical questions about the potential for SCP-999 to become a crutch, hindering an individual's ability to cope with negative emotions independently. You pause, considering the implications of what you've read. SCP-999 is far more than just a harmless blob. Its interactions with dangerous anomalies, the attempts to replicate its effects, and the questions surrounding its long-term impact paint a picture of an entity that is both incredibly unique and potentially far more significant than initially understood. As you delve even further into the archives, you begin to uncover whispers and rumors, unofficial accounts, and redacted testimonies that paint an even more enigmatic picture of SCP-999's origins. These accounts often contradict the official Foundation narrative, suggesting a deeper, perhaps even intentionally obscured history. One recurring rumor, often dismissed as unfounded speculation, links SCP-999 to a powerful, benevolent entity from another dimension or reality. These whispers suggest that SCP-999 is not a naturally occurring anomaly, but rather a fragment or emissary of this higher being, sent to our world for reasons unknown. Proponents of this theory often point to SCP-999's seemingly unnatural ability to induce pure joy, and its apparent lack of any discernible threat as evidence of its otherworldly origins. However, concrete evidence to support this claim remains elusive. You also find fragmented reports detailing early attempts by a splinter group within the Foundation to weaponize SCP-999. These reports, marked with multiple levels of redaction and classified under the ominous designation Project Sunshine, suggest a terrifying possibility. The attempt to harness SCP-999's joy-inducing effects for nefarious purposes, potentially as a form of mass psychological control, or even as a weapon capable of incapacitating enemies through overwhelming euphoria. The ethical implications of such a project are staggering, and the fact that these reports exist at all casts a dark shadow over the Foundation's early interactions with SCP-999. Thankfully, the project appears to have been abandoned or shut down due to unforeseen complications or ethical concerns, though the full details remain shrouded in secrecy. Another unsettling discovery is a series of cryptic notes attributed to a high-ranking Foundation researcher who was involved in the initial containment of SCP-999. These notes, written in a personal journal and never officially submitted, express a growing unease about the entity's true nature. The researcher writes of unsettling dreams and a creeping feeling that SCP-999's innocent demeanor might be a cleverly constructed mask, concealing a far more complex and potentially dangerous intelligence. The journal entries become increasingly paranoid, culminating in a final, frantic note questioning whether the Foundation itself is being manipulated by the seemingly harmless anomaly. The researcher subsequently disappeared under mysterious circumstances, and their notes were locked away, labeled as the ramblings of a disturbed mind. A particularly bizarre and unsubstantiated theory links SCP-999 to the concept of Scarlet King, a powerful and malevolent entity within Foundation lore. This theory suggests that SCP-999 might be an antithesis to the Scarlet King, a force of pure joy created to counteract his destructive influence. This interpretation, while highly speculative, adds a cosmic dimension to SCP-999's existence, positioning it as a potential key player in a larger ongoing battle between opposing forces within the anomalous world. The academic debate surrounding these more esoteric theories is, understandably, highly polarized. Mainstream researchers within the Foundation tend to dismiss them as fanciful speculation, lacking any empirical basis. However, a small but vocal minority continues to investigate these possibilities, arguing that the truly anomalous often defies conventional scientific understanding, and that dismissing such theories outright would be intellectually lazy. You lean back, the weight of the information you've uncovered pressing down on you. The history of SCP-999 is a tangled web of official reports, redacted secrets, unsettling rumors, and wild speculation. What began as the story of a seemingly simple, harmless anomaly has evolved into a complex and potentially dangerous enigma, raising profound questions about its true nature, its origins, and its ultimate purpose within the strange and unpredictable world of the SCP Foundation. You now shift your focus to more recent developments and ongoing research concerning SCP-999. Even after decades of containment and study, the entity continues to surprise and baffle the Foundation. One significant area of ongoing research involves SCP-999's potential for cognitive enhancement. While its primary effect is emotional upliftment, some studies suggest that interaction with the entity can also lead to temporary increases in cognitive function, including improved memory recall and enhanced problem-solving abilities. The exact mechanism behind this effect remains unclear, but researchers speculate that the positive emotional state induced by SCP-999 might create an optimal neurological environment for enhanced cognitive processing. This discovery has led to ethically complex proposals for utilizing SCP-999 in therapeutic settings for individuals with cognitive impairments, though these proposals remain under strict ethical review. Another fascinating area of study involves SCP-999's apparent ability to adapt and learn. While not exhibiting human-level intelligence, the entity has shown a capacity to understand and respond to increasingly complex instructions and emotional cues over time. Researchers have observed subtle changes in its behavior and vocalizations, suggesting a form of rudimentary learning. This raises concerns about the potential for SCP-999 to develop more advanced cognitive abilities in the future, and the implications this could have for its containment and potential interactions with the outside world. You uncover a series of incident reports detailing minor containment breaches in recent years. Interestingly, these breaches appear to be unintentional, often occurring when personnel become overly comfortable with SCP-999's seemingly harmless nature and lapse in security protocols. In all instances, SCP-999 has been easily recontained, often willingly returning to its enclosure after a brief period of exploration. These incidents serve as a stark reminder that even the most benign anomalies require constant vigilance and adherence to strict containment procedures. A particularly intriguing development is the emergence of a small but dedicated group of Foundation researchers who believe that SCP-999 holds the key to understanding and potentially even neutralizing other, more dangerous anomalies. Their research focuses on analyzing the specific frequencies and patterns within SCP-999's vocalizations and physical interactions, hoping to identify a universal positive energy that could be harnessed to counteract negative or destructive anomalous forces. This research is highly controversial and faces significant skepticism within the Foundation, but the potential rewards are considered significant enough to warrant continued investigation. The ongoing academic debate surrounding SCP-999's ultimate fate remains a point of contention. Some within the Foundation advocate for its continued containment and study, viewing it as a valuable resource for understanding anomalous phenomena and potentially developing therapeutic applications. Others argue for a more cautious approach, emphasizing the unknown aspects of its origins and potential long-term effects. A small minority even proposes the possibility of attempting to integrate SCP-999 into mainstream society, believing that its positive influence could have a significant beneficial impact on humanity as a whole. However, the inherent risks associated with such a proposal make it highly unlikely to ever be implemented. You reach the end of your investigation, the sheer volume of information leaving you feeling both enlightened and slightly overwhelmed. The story of SCP-999 is a testament to the fact that within the SCP universe, nothing is ever truly simple. What began as a seemingly straightforward anomaly, a harmless orange blob that likes to tickle, has revealed itself to be an entity of surprising complexity, shrouded in mystery, and potentially holding a significance far beyond its initial classification. Its origins remain unknown, its true nature is still debated, and its future within the Foundation's containment procedures is uncertain. Yet, amidst the darkness and danger that often permeate the Foundation's work, SCP-999 stands as a beacon of innocent joy, a reminder that even in the most anomalous of worlds, there can still be moments of pure, unadulterated happiness. Now, let your mind begin to gently drift. Imagine the soft, warm glow of a comforting light, perhaps the flickering of a candle or the gentle illumination of a bedside lamp. Feel the subtle shift in the air as your breathing slows, each exhale carrying away any lingering tension from the day. The sounds around you begin to fade into a gentle hum, the fan providing a soothing, consistent backdrop to the quiet of the night. The images you've conjured tonight, the mysteries of SCP-999, begin to soften at the edges, the sharp details blurring into a peaceful tranquility. Allow your thoughts to meander gently, like a slow-moving stream, carrying away any remaining worries or concerns. Your eyelids feel heavy, and a sense of deep relaxation washes over you, each muscle in your body beginning to unwind. The weight of the day lifts, replaced by a feeling of calm serenity. Just let go, and allow yourself to drift deeper and deeper into a state of peaceful rest. All right, everyone, settle in. Look around you. Maybe you're curled up in your favorite armchair, a soft blanket draped over you. Perhaps you're lying in bed, the faint glow of your phone screen, the only light in the room. Outside, the crickets are chirping, or maybe it's the gentle hum of city life filtering through your window here in Tom Jep, Nin, Bien. It's 1:06 a.m., so whatever sounds are around you, they're likely the soundtrack to your winding down. Now, you might think you're just about to listen to a story, a little something to ease your mind before sleep. And you're right, in a way. But tonight, we're not just dipping our toes into the strange. We're wading into the deep end of forgotten realities, places where the mundane brushes against the utterly bizarre. You probably wouldn't last 5 minutes in the actual situations we're about to explore, so consider yourself lucky you're experiencing this from the comfort of your current location. So, before you get too comfortable, take a quick moment to hit that like button and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy the kind of weirdness we delve into here. And while you're at it, drop a comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see how far these stories reach. Now, let's dim those lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soothing white noise, and let's embark on tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing in a dimly lit archive. Dust motes dance in the faint shafts of light, filtering through high, grimy windows. The air is thick with the scent of aging paper and something else. Something faintly metallic, almost like old blood. Rows upon rows of metal shelves stretch into the gloom, each crammed with manila folders, bound reports, and strange, unlabeled artifacts. You can hear the soft echo of your own breathing in the stillness, the only sound besides the occasional settling of the building. You clutch a worn Polaroid camera in your hands, its plastic casing smooth and familiar against your fingertips. It's an old model, the kind that spits out a physical print moments after you take a picture. But this camera, this one is different. As you move deeper into the archive, your fingers brush against the spines of countless files. Each one represents a story, a mystery, a deviation from the accepted reality. You know you're looking for something specific, something connected to the camera in your hand. A faded label on a nearby shelf catches your eye. Anomalous photography, initial investigations. You pull a folder, its edges softened with age. Inside, you find grainy black and white photographs. People frozen in moments that seem off. A woman staring at something unseen just outside the frame, her face a mask of terror. A child reaching for a hand that isn't there. A street scene where the shadows fall in impossible directions. You flip through the images, a growing unease settling in your stomach. These photographs feel like glimpses into forgotten moments, echoes of events that history has somehow misplaced. It's a well-documented phenomenon that human memory is fallible, that our recollections can be altered or even entirely fabricated over time. But these photographs, they feel different. They possess a stark, undeniable reality that transcends the limitations of human perception. One photo shows a researcher in a sterile white lab coat, his face contorted in a silent scream, while a shimmering, indistinct form hovers behind him. The caption beneath, scrawled in a shaky hand, reads, "Subjective visual anomaly during containment breach." You continue your search, the weight of the unknown pressing down on you. The Foundation, the organization that collected these anomalies, operated in the shadows, their very existence a closely guarded secret. Their mission: to secure, contain, and protect humanity from the things that defy explanation. And SCP-105, the designation for the girl known as Iris and her extraordinary Polaroid camera, was one of their more perplexing cases. The official records state that Iris had the unique ability to perceive and interact with the contents of photographs taken with the camera even after the events depicted had passed. It's a concept that bends the very fabric of space-time as we understand it. You locate another folder, this one thicker and labeled SCP-105, Containment Logs. Inside, the reports detail the initial discovery of Iris, a young girl found wandering near an abandoned research facility. She was clutching the Polaroid camera and seemed to possess an uncanny awareness of events depicted in its photographs, events that had seemingly vanished from the collective memory of those involved. One early log describes an incident where Iris pointed to a photograph of a cluttered office and described a hidden key under a specific book on the desk. When researchers checked, the key was exactly where she said it would be, despite no one having any prior knowledge of its existence. The logs reveal the challenges of containing SCP 105. Iris wasn't inherently dangerous, but her ability to interact with the past through the photographs presented significant security risks. What forgotten secrets could be unearthed? What alterations to the present could be triggered by manipulating events captured on film? The Foundation wrestled with these questions, their attempts at understanding Iris's abilities often leading to more questions than answers. One researcher theorized that the camera acted as a window into a sort of temporal echo, allowing Iris to perceive residual energy or information imprinted on the fabric of reality. However, this remained purely speculative. You find a series of photographs taken by Iris herself. They are different from the sterile documentation shots. These images have a childlike quality, capturing seemingly mundane moments. A blurry shot of a playground swing set, a close-up of a wilting flower, a group of faceless figures standing in a circle. But something about these images feels charged. As you look at the photograph of the swing set, you can almost hear the faint creak of the chains and the distant laughter of children. With the photo of the flower, you can almost smell its delicate fragrance, even though the paper is decades old. The faceless figures in the circle send a shiver down your spine. There's a sense of ritual, of something hidden just beyond your understanding. It's a widely accepted scientific principle that information cannot be truly destroyed. Even when something is forgotten or erased, some trace of it remains, whether it's in the subtle shifts in the environment or the lingering energy of an event. Perhaps Iris's camera somehow taps into this residual information, allowing her to perceive what has been lost to time. Or maybe, as some fringe theorists within the Foundation whispered, the camera and Iris were conduits to something far stranger, something that existed outside the conventional understanding of time and memory. The ethical implications of Iris's abilities were also a constant source of debate within the Foundation. Was it right to contain someone simply because they possessed an unusual perception of reality? Did Iris have the right to access these forgotten moments, or should they remain lost to the past? You continue to delve deeper into the files, the stories of Iris and her camera, weaving a strange and unsettling tapestry. You are beginning to feel a connection to this forgotten girl, a sense of shared curiosity about the mysteries held within these faded photographs. The containment logs detail various attempts to understand the mechanics behind Iris's ability. Early experiments involved having her describe scenes from photographs taken in the past, then comparing her descriptions to historical records. Surprisingly often, Iris would mention details that were not captured in the photograph itself, but were later corroborated by other sources. For instance, in one instance, she described a small, hand-carved wooden bird sitting on a windowsill in a photo of an empty room. Later, investigation revealed a broken piece of such a bird hidden in the floorboards. How could she have known? As Iris grew older within the Foundation's secure facility, her control over her ability seemed to develop. She could not only perceive forgotten moments within the photographs, but also, to a limited extent, interact with them. The logs describe instances where Iris would reach into a photograph and retrieve small objects that were no longer present in the real world. These objects were always remnants of the depicted scene: a dried flower, a rusted coin, a child's lost toy. These objects, when brought into the present, often held a faint echo of their past, sometimes exhibiting slight temperature fluctuations or a faint, almost imperceptible scent of the time they were taken. One particularly unsettling incident involved a photograph of a hallway within the Foundation facility taken years before. Iris reached into the photo and described a strange, rhythmic tapping sound coming from behind a closed door that was no longer there in the present layout of the building. Security personnel investigated the area and discovered a sealed-off section of the original hallway, and within it, faint but persistent tapping sounds emanating from within the walls. The source of the tapping was never definitively identified. This incident sparked intense debate about the nature of Iris's ability. Was she merely perceiving the past, Or was she somehow creating a bridge between past and present? The Foundation's attempts to replicate Iris's ability in others proved fruitless. The camera itself was subjected to rigorous scientific analysis, but no anomalous properties could be detected through conventional means. It was just an old Polaroid camera. This led to the prevailing theory that Iris herself was the anomaly, and the camera was merely a focal point for her unique perception. Some researchers even speculated about a possible psychic link between Iris and the camera, a symbiotic relationship that allowed her to tap into these forgotten moments. It's a curious thing, the way certain objects can become imbued with a sense of history, holding on to echoes of the events they have witnessed. Think about an old antique, the stories it could tell if it could speak. Now imagine an object that actually could show you those stories. You find a series of interview transcripts with Iris. Her words are often fragmented, filled with descriptions of fleeting images and half-remembered feelings. She speaks of shadows of moments and whispers of what was. When asked about the faceless figures in her photograph, she simply replied, "They are waiting for the forgotten." This cryptic statement sent chills down the spines of the researchers. What were they waiting for? And what did it mean to be forgotten in this context? The Foundation, despite its scientific approach, often found itself grappling with the philosophical implications of anomalies like Iris. What is reality? What is memory? And what happens to the moments that fade from our collective consciousness? Do they simply cease to exist, or do they linger somewhere, waiting to be rediscovered? These were the questions that kept many Foundation researchers awake at night. As you delve further into Iris's file, you uncover a series of classified reports detailing a potential breach of containment involving SCP-105. These reports are heavily redacted, with large sections blacked out, hinting at the sensitive nature of the information. However, you manage to piece together fragments of the events. It seems Iris, through one of her photographs, became aware of a forgotten incident within the Foundation's history, an incident that had been deliberately erased from all official records. The redacted report suggests that this forgotten incident involved a previous anomaly, one that had caused a significant loss of life and a catastrophic breach of containment. The details are sparse, but you gather that the Foundation had gone to extreme lengths to suppress all knowledge of this event, even employing memory-altering techniques on its own personnel. It appears that Iris's ability to see forgotten moments bypassed these safeguards, offering her a glimpse into a past the Foundation desperately wanted to keep buried. The reports describe Iris becoming increasingly agitated and withdrawn during this period. She would stare intently at certain photographs, muttering about the screaming and the broken light. She attempted to communicate what she was seeing, but her descriptions were fragmented and disturbing, filled with images that made the researchers deeply uneasy. There was a growing fear that Iris's connection to this forgotten event could somehow destabilize the present reality, perhaps even triggering a similar catastrophe. One particularly chilling entry describes Iris holding a photograph of an empty corridor, yet she insisted that she could see figures moving within it. Figures that were translucent and flickering, like ghosts of a forgotten tragedy. She claimed they were trapped and still reliving it. This raised the unsettling possibility that the echoes of past events weren't just visual or sensory. They might somehow retain a form of residual consciousness. The Foundation's response to this potential breach was drastic. The redacted reports hint at a debate about the ethics of suppressing Iris's knowledge versus the potential danger of what she had uncovered. Ultimately, a decision was made the details are blacked out here, but subsequent entries suggest a significant shift in Iris's containment procedures and a marked decrease in her interaction with her photographs. It's as if a conscious effort was made to shield her, and perhaps the rest of the Foundation, from the forgotten past she had glimpsed. It leaves you with a profound sense of unease. What was so terrible that it had to be erased from history? And what was the cost of keeping it forgotten? Iris and her camera, seemingly a window into lost moments, had inadvertently stumbled upon a secret the Foundation was willing to bury at any cost. The implications are staggering. If memories can be so thoroughly suppressed, what else has been forgotten? What other hidden histories lie just beyond our perception, waiting for someone or something to bring them back to light? You continue to sift through the remaining files, your mind reeling from the implications of what you've already uncovered. You find a series of personal notes, seemingly written by one of the researchers who worked closely with Iris. The handwriting is shaky, the language more informal than the official reports. These notes offer a more human perspective on Iris and her abilities, revealing a growing empathy for the contained anomaly. The researcher writes about Iris's loneliness, her quiet longing for connection to a world she could only glimpse through her photographs. She often spoke of wanting to show people the forgotten moments she saw, to prove that they were real, that they mattered. But the Foundation's protocols strictly limited her interactions, fearing the unpredictable nature of her abilities. The researcher notes a particular sadness in Iris's eyes when she looked at photographs of groups of people, as if she were seeing connections that had long since faded. One entry details an experiment where Iris was shown a photograph of a seemingly empty field. Iris, however, described a vibrant scene, children playing, a picnic blanket spread out, the sound of distant laughter. Later, historical records, uncovered through painstaking research, confirmed that the field had indeed been the site of a community gathering decades prior, a gathering that had been largely forgotten by local history. This reinforced the idea that Iris's camera wasn't just showing her random glimpses of the past. It was somehow attuned to moments of significance, moments imbued with emotional resonance. The researcher also expresses a growing concern about the Foundation's methods, questioning the ethics of suppressing knowledge and containing individuals simply because they are different. They write about the potential value of understanding anomalies like Iris, suggesting that they might offer insights into the very nature of reality that conventional science couldn't grasp. This sentiment echoes the internal debates hinted at in the redacted reports. There was a faction within the Foundation that believed in studying and understanding anomalies, while another, more cautious faction prioritized containment above all else. You find a final undated note from the researcher. It reads, "I showed Iris a photograph of myself as a child, playing in my grandmother's garden, a memory I hadn't thought about in years. She smiled, a genuine smile, and pointed to a small wooden toy I was holding in the picture. 'You loved that little horse,' she said. 'You used to take it everywhere.' I was stunned. I had completely forgotten about that toy. It made me wonder, what else have we all forgotten? And what are we missing because of it?" This personal anecdote brings the abstract concepts of forgotten moments and suppressed histories into sharp focus. It highlights the human cost of forgetting, the lost connections and untold stories that fade with time. As you close the final folder, the weight of the information settles heavily upon you. Iris and her camera are more than just an anomaly. They are a reminder of the fragility of memory and the enduring power of the past. The forgotten moments they reveal are not just historical footnotes. They are echoes of lives lived, emotions felt, and events that shape the present in ways we may never fully understand. The silence of the archive seems to press in on you, filled with the untold stories held within its walls. The metallic scent in the air seems stronger now, a faint reminder of the forgotten tragedy hinted at in the redacted reports. You can almost feel the weight of those suppressed memories, a silent burden on the present. Now, let your mind drift for a moment. Imagine the soft glow of the screen fading away, the sounds of the night becoming a gentle hum. Think about the quiet stillness of your room, hearing Tom Diep, Nin Bien, the air still and calm. Let the weight of the stories you've just heard begin to dissipate, like mist lifting in the morning sun. There's no need to hold on to the details too tightly now. Allow them to soften, to blur around the edges. Picture the rows of dusty files receding into the darkness, the faded photographs losing their sharp focus. The metallic scent in the air fades, replaced by the familiar scent of your own surroundings, the faint fragrance of your pillow, the subtle aroma of a nearby plant. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest as you breathe, a slow, steady rhythm that anchors you to the present moment. There's a quiet comfort in this stillness, a peaceful respite from the mysteries you've explored. Let your eyelids grow heavy, your muscles relax. The journey into the forgotten is over for now. Allow yourself to sink deeper into the comfort of your bed, the gentle sounds of the night, your only companions. Good night.